going on, Jets fans? Welcome into the Jets Report. My name is Patrick Siepman. Coming up on today's show, we're going to look at some of the top free agent targets for your New York Jets after the 2025 NFL Draft. So we got a lot of big positions of need to be filled on this roster, and maybe they could do so by picking up some free agents before the start of the season. But before we dive into it, we're actually doing a race to 100 subscribers battle again against our Bills breakdown show. We did this during the NFL draft, and we actually ended up beating them in this race, so I appreciate all of you guys. But they challenged us again. I'm trying to go 2-0 against them. So if you guys have not already, please go down there, hit that subscribe, and also shout out to everybody who hit that sub button yesterday. We actually crossed over 5,000 subs here on the channel, so I appreciate you. But if you guys are trying to help us beat the Bills breakdown here in a race to 100 subs, hit that subscribe button today. All right, let's talk about some free agents here for the Jets. And number one we're going to talk about is veteran wide receiver, formerly with the Los Angeles Chargers and this past season with the Chicago Bears, Keenan Allen. Now, Keenan Allen was still productive for Chicago this past season, bringing in 70 of his 121 targets, going for 744 yards. Now, drops were a big issue for Keenan Allen, which is a bit of a shocker since he's never been a big drop issue guy in his career. So I'm not really looking too much into that, but he also had 7 touchdowns, 10.6 yards per catch, and he did obviously go for over 740 yards. And I don't think the Jets have a dire need at the wide receiver position. You got Garrett Wilson, then you got kind of a wide receiver 2 by committee behind him. But why I would be interested in Keenan Allen is I think the Jets could use a veteran presence in that room. Just an older guy to help, like a Garrett Wilson, a Malachi Corley, some of these younger wide receivers just go throughout the day of the NFL life. And Keenan Allen still being a very productive guy. You could play him in the slot. I think he would, honestly excel in this new look Jets offense where they're still going to be focused on the run game, trying to be a run-first team. But if you would have a guy like Keenan Allen on these 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5 situations, just kind of be that safety net for Justin Fields, plus his veteran experience in the locker room, I would be all in on the Jets signing Keenan Allen before the start of next season. All right, let's talk about another guy here. How about Asante Samuel Jr., cornerback formerly with the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, he apparently is having some medical issues with his neck and shoulder area, which is a big reason why he has not been signed just yet. But I do think if you would somehow bring in Asante Samuel, you would be looking at this Jets cornerback room as very, very solid. I mean, you obviously got Sauce Gardner, one of the best cornerbacks in the league. Azariah Thomas, your 3rd-round pick out of Florida State. Then if you would add in Asante Samuel next to Brandon Stevens, next to Michael Carter, like you're looking at this group combined with, Aaron Glenn, Steve Wilkes, you should have a very, very solid secondary. Obviously, I have some needs at the safety position, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But just in terms of the corner, if you would bring in Asante Samuel, I'm looking at this group, and you look at mainly the top 3 guys, especially if Thomas ends up popping year 1, it's a solid unit back in the secondary there in New York. But how about an edge guy? Now, I don't think the Jets have a need at the edge rusher. Now, they could use some depth there, and I guess that's where Zadarius Smith comes into play. Now, Zadarius Smith, in my opinion, he's just not the same guy he was once with the Green Bay Packers, even with the Minnesota Vikings, and even that one year with the Cleveland Browns. So I don't have a ton of interest in Zadarius Smith. He does have a lot of noise around his name. Like, I feel like everywhere he goes, there's just kind of a small circus following him around, and I don't think the Jets need that. Now, he does have the connection with Aaron Glenn, was with him last season, so maybe if Glenn's a fan of him, then, I would turn out being a fan of him just because Glenn was actually with him in the locker room last season. But Zadarius Smith is definitely an option there. And then we also got Justin Simmons, safety from the Atlanta Falcons. Now, this is a guy I would love to bring in. Extremely versatile safety, and with the Jets still having a need at that safety position, I think Justin Simmons makes a whole lot of sense there. But, obviously this is a guy who can play multiple positions. He can hop down, play some, makeshift linebacker for you, which I think Steve Wilkes and Aaron Glenn will honestly try to do this upcoming season, run a lot of bandit, run a lot of 3 safety sets. But, they're going to play into the strengths on this roster. If you would bring in Simmons and maybe just a nickel package for the Jets would be a whole lot better because besides Cisco, you don't really have too much faith in any of these other safeties there. But Justin Simmons is definitely a good option. Then another safety choice here. How about Julian Blackmon of the Indianapolis Colts? Very solid player, up and down this past season, gave up a lot of big plays, but still when, when the Colts need him to make a play, he made it. And I'm a fan of him, and either of these two guys, Justin Simmons or Julian Blackmon, I think the Jets could make a move there. And, honestly, if I had to give my bold prediction, for the rest of this Jets offseason is I think they're going to make a move at safety, whether that's Julian Blackmon, whether that's Justin Simmons, or maybe there's another guy out there that Steve Wilkes and Aaron Glenn are a big fan of that I'm not talking about. But I definitely think they will make a move at the safety position. You have a need there. Both these guys are veterans. They wouldn't be locker room problems or issues whatsoever. They would just increase the product of play at that position group and honestly the secondary as a whole. And honestly, having that veteran at that safety position, he can help communicate with the younger corners on this roster. I think the Jets will do it. I just think it's a time will tell situation. But between these two top safeties left, Justin Simmons, Julian Blackmon, who are you signing? Give me a JS for Justin Simmons or give me a JB for Julian Blackmon. You guys, let me know your thoughts. Who would you sign to join the New York Jets this upcoming season? Now we can talk about another wide receiver here, veteran, Amari Cooper, one of the best route runners in NFL history. You go through on his tape when he was with the Dallas Cowboys. It was a beautiful thing to watch. His releases, just how he creates separation. It was truly, truly special. And he was obviously with Dallas, and he got traded to the Cleveland Browns. Had a very good stint in his career there. Actually, more of a big play threat guy than I remember. I mean, almost averaging 16 yards per catch between those 2 seasons. And then this past year, he was traded to the Buffalo Bills, but he was still able to put up 44 receptions, 547 yards, 12.4 yards per catch. Now, he's kind of the same argument I was making for Keenan. I would like the veteran in the locker room. He would be a good voice to have in like these young wide receiver ears, day in, day out. Now, he did have 12 drops this past season, which is that's always been a consistent theme of his career. But so Amari Cooper, would I love it? Probably not, but would I like it? Yeah, I think it'll be a solid move there. But also, what about Brandon Scherff? There's reports that he could retire this offseason, but it turns out that's not the case. So I guess he's still one of the top offensive guards, left on the market here. And I'm not saying the Jets have a need at the offensive guard spot, but maybe this is a guy who's just looking to be a veteran backup somewhere. Big market, New York could make some sense. The Jets already have a solid interior offensive line. But this would be probably the best backup offensive guard in the league, with obviously injuries being an issue over the last couple of years with Simpson, Elijah Vera Tucker. Maybe the Jets want to put more resources into the backup of their interior offensive line. So watch out for Brandon Scherff. Not sure if he'll sign with the Jets. I'm sure he's probably still holding out to get a starting job somewhere, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Now, Super Bowl MVP, Von Miller, edge rusher, was with the Buffalo Bills. They decided to let him go and replaced him with Joey Bosa. So maybe a little revenge game could come into play here with Von Miller. Be like, oh, y'all cut me. All right, I'm going to go to your division rival, the New York Jets, and make some plays for Aaron Glenn. Now, he's not the same guy he was when he won a Super Bowl even with the Los Angeles Rams. Certainly not the same guy he was when he won Super Bowl MVP with the Denver Broncos. But he's a veteran guy, rotational guy where, if it's these true pass rush downs where it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, you can just plug him in there. And if he's got a one-on-one matchup, he should be able to exploit it. But I would rather have the Jets just let these young cats on the defensive line get more reps. But I think Von would just be a veteran option 1 year, maybe $3, $4, $5 million deal. But how about another veteran in the secondary? A guy I would love to bring in just because of his locker room impact. Former Defensive Player of the Year with the New England Patriots, Stefon Gilmore. And I know Aaron Glenn would have some interest in him. Anytime the Vikings played the Lions this past season, Glenn would always rave about Gilmore's performance. And, Gilmore last year for the Vikings, he's still extremely impactful when he's going against mid-tier wide receivers. Now, when he goes up against the great ones, he'll obviously struggle. But with the Jets situation, especially with Azareeh Thomas, Gilmore would necessarily be a cornerback 3, cornerback 4, and if he's getting those responsibilities, even at the age he is, he could still be very, very impactful just with the brain he has and just the technique overall in his game. So I would have a lot of interest in Stephon Gilmore, but how about another wide receiver here? Tyler Boyd. Don't really have too much interest in Boyd. Struggled for the Titans last season. I think he was kind of just a Joe Burrow merchant a little bit, and it's pretty easy to be the wide receiver 3 next to, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and you got Joe Burrow throwing you the damn rock. So I don't really have any interest in Tyler Boyd, but just want to get you guys another wide receiver name that the Jets could potentially sign. But you guys let me know, what is the next move for the Jets? Name a free agent the Jets need to sign down below in the comments section. I'll go either Justin Simmons as kind of the blockbuster one. If it's not a blockbuster one, I'll go Stephon Gilmore. I think that'll be a good pickup. But you guys let me know. Name a free agent the Jets need to sign down below. Another friendly reminder, hit that subscribe button on the way out. Help us beat the Bills breakdown in a race to 100 subs. So hit that sub button today. See you guys next time. As always, go Jets.